How is the climate crisis affecting Ann Arbor?
It's a great question. So climate change, we've been analyzing different data over the course of decades. And what we know is that we've already seen an increase of 1 degree Fahrenheit in temperature, which may not seem like a lot, but actually is pretty significant. And we're already experiencing a 44% increase in rainfall falling on the city. So we're experiencing flooding frequently, and it's coming in deluges, really intense rainfall events. And then the other impact that we think we're starting to see and that we expect to see is climate migration, people coming into the region. Because despite the fact that we've got a lot of rain and we're getting warmer, we have water, and water is life. And those glorious Great Lakes that surround us in the region, those are a really important asset. So we expect to see more people moving into the area.
And why does the response need to engage all citizens, and who is normally left out?
Well, first and foremost, Ann Arbor and any community really needs to be an inclusive place for all of the people that are there. And if we're really honest, most of our engagement techniques and our land use planning and our policy has excluded a lot of people for a while. And so if we're gonna be able to develop equitably and sustainably, we need to be inclusive. And we need to really center frontline and fence line populations, people that have traditionally been left out of the conversation, in the dialogue. And I think about that as the people that are hurt first and worst by climate change. They tend to be Black, Indigenous, people of color, low-income households. We need to make sure that they benefit first and most from the kinds of strategies and solutions we're putting into place. So we need to make sure that we're working with them to really center our response to climate change. And as we think about migration into the region, we need to make sure that we don't gentrify, that we don't push people out of the community to make way for perhaps the first wave of individuals, which we expect to be the more affluent.
So obviously awareness is key, but then what else are you doing, and how have you done this in Ann Arbor to help those communities and make sure that they're not the ones that are being left out?
Yeah, thank you for the great question. Well, one, it is education and awareness and talking about it. Most people aren't thinking in this way, so just starting with a conversation like what we started with. What are our climate impacts? People understand heat, they understand flooding, but talking about migration sort of gets people to think, oh, yeah, you're right, that could actually be a thing. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. I actually think it could be a great thing. We could have expanded cultural diversity, more economic opportunities, more innovative ideas coming into the region, but it could be a bad thing if we don't plan for it. In terms of our frontline populations, it's our work to equitably decarbonize or make carbon neutral a 262 household neighborhood that is a low-income neighborhood, 50% BIPOC, 50% renter occupied, next to the capped landfill. It floods, it has no trees, it's in the highway ring, it's an environmental justice community. We've been working for 2 years with the residents there to figure out what exactly does it mean to equitably decarbonize or become carbon neutral? What does it mean to become the most sustainable existing neighborhood in America? How do we do that? And so we've been fundraising, all the money stays in the neighborhood, we hire people, we pay for people's time, and they're designing the program, and we're just about ready to go to implementation. So it's really exciting to see that program take off, and trust building takes a long time, but this could be transformational.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Hey, thanks.
What do you think other city managers can learn from what you guys are doing?
Well, I think working with the community is really key, and being strategic about the community. Often we think of community with a big C. Everybody, let's have a big town hall meeting and invite everyone in, and that's a great format. But if we're really serious about equity and justice work and sustainability, then we need to really center populations that have been left out of the conversation. And that means rethinking a little bit about how we engage. That means going to people. Maybe it means more customized outreach and engagement, working with organizations that are already trusted by those networks, paying people for their time and their expertise, because their lived experience is expertise, and we should compensate them for sharing that with us and helping us design solutions. So we need to think a little bit differently about engagement, and we need to be open to having really hard conversations about things like climate change and migration, both if we're receiving cities or if we're leaving cities, meaning people are transitioning away from us.
It's interesting how much you can learn just from talking to someone who lives in that area.
Absolutely.
And the issues that they see versus what you might see from a distance.
Yeah, absolutely, especially kind of from an academic exercise, right? I can tell you lots of facts about the climate, but what does it mean for you personally in your life? What does it mean for your family? What does it mean for your job? Maybe you can't get to work on time because the road floods too frequently, or maybe you have asthma rates because you have mold in your house because your basement regularly gets inundated. You know, having those conversations opens up both the challenges, but also the solution set, things that I may never think about. So it's really exciting.
Well, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much, Missy.
Thank you for your time.